What's up, everybody? Mark with Vox Academy here, and I have a lot of things to say, and I'm going to try to say it in a very short amount of time for you because let's drop the preamble. We all know everybody clicks to 2 minutes, but you're a real one if you watch the next 30 seconds or so. So listen, I do it too. No judgment, no shame here. Today we're checking out Hi Ren by Ren. Now a couple things to be aware of. I was not planning on doing this video because it does not really relate to our content, generally speaking. However, a lot of people have been wanting us to talk about it, wanting me to talk about it, which is kind of weird. And it's also been making the reaction rounds, and people have been like, hey, we want to hear your take on this song. We've seen Julia's, we've seen the Charismatic Voice, we've seen all these people. We want to hear your take. And so finally I said, sure, you got it. Let's check it out. Now, if you're new to the channel, if you're checking Vox Academy out for the first time, I am a metal vocalist and primarily a metal vocal coach, and I teach people how to make all sorts of gurgly sounds, stuff like, safely and efficiently for years to come. And I have technically heard this before. Technically, it was when in one of our server listening parties. We have a Vox Academy server with tons of people in it. We all hang out. It's accessible through our Patreon. But I was video editing at the time, so I had the volume on this super low. So like technically I've heard it, but I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. So it's kind of like a fresh listen. But we're gonna see what we can do. It's 9 minutes, so I'm like, holy cannoli. I'll try to keep it concise for you. Now, a couple of quick announcements that are very, very exciting. The first one is that we are having a very large vocal contest here with Vox Academy. Now, this vocal contest is pretty thick. It's pretty beefy. You can review the video in the link to the description below to find out. Link to the description. There's a video link in the description where you can learn more about the contest. But essentially, we have a bunch of very, very, very big names in metal, very talented vocalists sitting as judges on a panel that are all going to be reviewing the entries. So it's not just me deciding what I like and think is good. It'll be people like Joe Bad and Dickie Allen and Johnny Chardulo and a bunch of others that we're going to announce maybe over time. So that's all I'll say. But a bunch of others that are very exciting. And so if you want to be a part of that, which by the way, it doesn't have to be metal vocals. You can do the whole thing clean. It doesn't have to be screaming. Doesn't really matter to us as long as there's creativity. Check out cartervoxacademy.com for details on the contest. And again, you can watch the video. The second cool announcement is that this shirt that I'm wearing is for a video game called Crystalla. If you're on TikTok at all, you've probably seen it making the rounds. It's a cool Souls-like game. You basically get to be an awesome cat with powers and swords, killing zombies and shit. It's got a lot of metal vocalists doing voices in the video game. They reached out to me recently and they said, hey, we may have a couple spots, no guarantee, but if we do, we'd like you to do some monster noises. So I'm coming in a little bit late, but maybe there will be something for me to gurgle on. I'm not so sure. But anyways, if you like the shirt, you can check it out. They do have an ambassador program. I just don't have the time to set it up. So no kickbacks. I'm just doing it because I think the game looks cool, and I'm excited to maybe be able to gurgle on it. So you can check out the merch and the game in the links in the description below as well. Now, if you're still here, I appreciate your patience. Let's go ahead. Let's check out Hi Ren by Ren. Here we go.
Hi there, Ran. It's been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. Cause I always come back. Deep down you know that. Deep down you know I'm always in periphery. Rent on your pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me. Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately, and I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill. Ren, you sound more insane than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect at always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy. Nah, mate, this time is...
Okay, so I'm gonna pause it there real quick because I gotta pause it eventually. Normally, like, I do my first pause within like the first 40 seconds or something. So a couple things I'm noticing. I want to kind of get this one out of the way because I'm not a guitarist, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But I think it's really interesting how much he's attacking those strings. He's plucking very, very, very hard. For like when I think of an acoustic guitar, when I think about like nylon strings, maybe they're not made of nylon. I don't know. But I tend to think like very soft, very elegant. And there's a lot of attack going on here. And that's also interesting because it matches his voice. He's being a very, very attackful. I think the main thing that I notice here and that I want to talk about is, obviously as a vocal technique channel where we talk about primarily deathcore and death metal vocals, precision and accuracy and resonance placement and breath support. These are all things that are very intentional that we really should focus on and think about. That being said, sometimes when we're trying to deliver things more emotionally, letting that stuff kind of fall out the window is not a bad idea. From what I hear going on, I mean, sure, I could talk to you about how his resonance sounds nice and forward. Yes, I could talk to you about how his timbre is bright. But I think that if you were to sit down and try to recreate this sound as academically as you could, you would kind of miss the mark. You would kind of miss the point. And I think that sometimes when we are doing vocal performances, leading with emotion is much more important than leading with technique. And I think that is a very common problem in metal vocals as well. Oftentimes, we lead with however many techniques we can fit into a small spot, which, like, I get it. It's fun. If I ever release a single, just like a Cardivox thing, I probably would do that with at least one song just to get it out of my system. But here, it seems like he was very much leading with the storytelling. Now, we do have two very, very separate things going on. We have him looking to one side, using a much more gruff, a much more sinister, a much more snarly voice. That's really interesting. And then a softer voice when he's turning to the other direction as well. I don't know if the flickering light has anything to do with it, but could be some interesting storytelling there. But, I think the main thing that I would say is I appreciate the fact that he sounds like he's being genuine versus like sitting down and trying to fit in a genre. I'm not even sure what genre this would be because the guitar is doing a lot of very strange things, very strange in a good way. So I think, I'll wrap up this quick interjection here, but sometimes rather than thinking about technique and perfect pitch and perfect placement and, what is my vocal fold posture? Like what muscles am I using? Relax and lead with emotion. That can take you a very long way. Let's keep going though.
Different, man, trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place. And my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Cause when you're with me, it never seems to help. You think that you can amputate me? I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one, so you see. You gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not leftover dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Wow, your Grammys ran nowhere. Yeah, but my music's not commercial like that. I never chase numbers, statistics or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connecting, and the people who find it respect it. And for me that's enough, cause this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in. Man, you sound so pretentious. Ran, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself. Trust me. You should be so lucky, having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing you neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix, forget it.
So I'm gonna pause it again here, and I'm gonna kind of break my mold a little bit. when I talk about songs and music on this channel, I really stick mostly to technique. Even if it's a song I don't love, right? That happens a lot. On reaction channels, you can't love every song that you react to. But I want to kind of break my mold a little bit, because obviously, now I don't know Ren's whole backstory. I don't really know a whole lot about, him as an artist or things like this. But what he's kind of diagramming here is something that's kind of common. And I just kind of want to say, I want to, let me give you a little piece of dad advice. You don't have to be exceptional. You don't. As a vocal coach, a lot of the people that I teach are chasing something, and that's not inherently bad, right? They hear a deathcore or a death metal band, or any kind of metal band, right? And they want to be exceptional, and I think that sometimes that can be really, really difficult, and that's something that to be honest, I struggle with all the time. Before I was this guy talking about metal vocals on YouTube, I was a musician, and the worst part about, let me tell you something, the worst part about content creation and about creative endeavors is feeling like you have to be good. Which is kind of weird, right? Because people only like your work if you are good. So, I'll keep my own personal story to a minimum. But as somebody who really feels the pressure of, why isn't this doing that well? Or why isn't this way? Or, should you even get on camera? Do you fucking actually know anything, Mark? I just want to say that from me to you, you have permission to not be exceptional. You can just do things because you love them. And when they work out, that's cool. That's awesome. It's not that the drive to be exceptional is bad, but when you start to have situations like we're seeing in this video where it starts to eat away at you, and your self-worth is based on being exceptional, or your self-worth is based on all these things, you don't have to go through that. And I know that's easier said than done, but imposter syndrome is real, my friends. It is a doozy. Anyways, let's keep going.
It's not like that.
Man, it's just like that. I'm inside you, you twat.
No, it's not, man. You're wrong. When I write, I belong.
Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song.
Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius.
He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with the subconscious. Eminem did it.
Played on guitar.
Plan B did it.
Man, you're not original, you criminal rip-off artist. The pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material.
Ren, mate, we've heard it all before.
She sells seashells on the seashore.
Fuck you. I don't need you. I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself. I'm a genius. And I will be great. And I will make waves. And I'll shake up the whole world beneath us.
That's right, speak your truth. Your fucking God complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to actually hear you say it instead of downplay it.
Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus.
Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren.
Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren.
I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside. Newsflash. I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason. Beheading all kings, I am sin, with no rhyme or reason.
Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mustopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender when standing in front of my solar eclipse. My name is stitched to your lips, so you see, I won't bow to the will of a mortal. Feeble and normal, you wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of end. I am you, you are me, I am you, Ren.
Seems like a good place to do another really little pause. So I'm going to go back more to my technique talk. One thing that I'm really enjoying about listening to his voice, and the storytelling in his voice, is that his voice is cracking and popping and breaking, but in separate ways, right? So when he's being like his sinister, when he's being that part of his mind that is working against him. You know, he's got like this bright distortion that's forward without tension. And then when he's speaking as himself, his voice is more reserved. He's getting vocal cracks. His vocal break is very, very present, right? There's a lot of vulnerability in there. And, you know, I think that that's something that's really, really important for us to remember. Oftentimes, as singers and screamers, we have this idea of what like good singing is, right? And this is kind of a little soapbox here, but like why? Like why is it good singing to be on? Now, this is going to sound weird coming from a vocal coach. Again, I specialize almost entirely in harsh vocals, right? But why is it important to sing on pitch? Because we all decided it a long time ago. It's it's all a subjective system that we've created based on what we like to hear. Like the whole reason that people think a singer is bad or good is basically an entirely intersubjective agreement around lots of groups of people. And this song is kind of a testament to that, because if you think about it, right, looking at this song, and so I've gone back and forth on this song. I remember when I sort of half heard it in the listening party. I thought it was kind of cool. Then reflecting on it like a week later, I was like, I don't really think I like that song. And now I'm more in the camp of liking it again. So this is going to sound like a jab, but it's not. I'm surprised this song is doing so well, because it is, first of all, it's really long. We're already 5 minutes in, and the song hasn't like compositionally changed much. And one of the common criticisms that people have of music is that it does the same thing for too long. Obviously, his storytelling and his cadence on the guitar is keeping what he's doing interesting. But it's been the same formula the whole time. Now, that's my jam. I will absolutely take a song that does not change for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I really like that stuff. So again, this isn't a jab at him in any way. This is just kind of me pointing out that sometimes the thoughts that we have in our head that work against us, you know, like, hey, your songs aren't going to do well, you're a liar. Well, here he is with an extremely experimental song that's doing extremely well, right? So yeah, you know, I think that if you are a singer or a screamer, or really anybody who uses your voice as your job, I wouldn't. This is so much easier said than done, but I would just sometimes remember that our system for deciding what good vocals are is just based on all of us thinking it sounds good, right? You know what I mean? Like why does a guttural have to sound this way? Why does a high scream have to sound this way? Why does a singer have to have perfect pitch and intonation and all these things? Well, maybe for their genre, it's really important, right? Like it would be hard to compete in opera without good pitch, right? So that's fair. But then come over here, let your voice break, let your voice pop. Sometimes being genuine is, I already said this, but sometimes being genuine is going to be the way to go. Anyways, that's just me trying to offer words of encouragement based on having been in music for, I don't know, a long time. Let's keep going.
Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning, just as sure as the night has dawned, just as sure as the rainfall soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beat. I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal. And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? 'Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch or shake. So cower at the man I've become when I sing from the top of my lungs, that I won't retire, I'll stand in your fire, inspire that me to be strong. And when I am gone I will rise in the music that I left behind. Ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a climbing to different sides.
That's really actually very fascinating. So earlier I was talking about how his not sinister self has a more like vulnerable, slightly pulled back voice. Now his not sinister self. Like he started speaking more confidently, right? And obviously for the storytelling, like he stands up and everything. But his not sinister side, his vulnerable side, we'll call it, starts speaking much more connected, much more resonant, much more forward, much more full, with a healthier speaking voice, right? Because that's something we don't think about a lot of times as vocalists. We don't think about the fact that our speaking voice should be more healthy as well, and it can be. That's sometimes when I have a student who's learning how to scream, the only way we can fix their screaming voice is to fix their speaking voice, right? Sometimes that takes a little bit of time, but. And he starts actually properly singing, right? He starts properly singing and he's higher in his register. And here's the thing. So like, again, this is kind of going back to what I was talking about before. If somebody was to say like, Mark, is he singing properly? And I have to be honest with all of you, there is a thread in my body, in my mind, that I have to keep control of, which is kind of debate edgelord. I'll be real. And so my first thought would actually be like, well, how do we define proper? What is proper to you? Which system of singing are we going on? How do I even approach that question? But that's not what I would say. I would say technically no. Technically, there are a lot of inconsistencies in his voice. Technically, there are a lot of breaks. Technically, there are some sections where you can tell he's singing from his throat a little bit. But here's the thing. I don't care because it sounds dope, right? And I think that if he was to go back and quote unquote fix all those things, it wouldn't be as good. It wouldn't sound as good. The emotion, the story that he's trying to convey, the experience that he has gone through or is going through that he's trying to share with us wouldn't hit the same way. So is he singing? Here we go. Is he singing properly? Well, what's proper? Meeting a bunch of metrics and criteria that, were decided by academic people over many years? Well, then probably not. Is he singing properly in that he's conveying a very emotional message effectively? And creating something beautiful and interesting and engaging? Yes. And honestly, that's the one I care more about personally. So yeah, very interesting. Very interesting that as he gets stronger, he has these little moments. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose or if this is just what came out. He has these little moments where his voice is cracking. Some of my favorite singers are like that, actually. One of my favorite bands of all time is a band called Me Without You. And their singer, Aaron Weiss, his voice is always breaking, always cracking. He's straight up flat sometimes. He's straight up sharp sometimes. And it just sounds so good because the goal of what he's trying to do is to convey an emotional message. And at the end of the day, if you're doing that, that's kind of what sells me a little bit more. So your vocal tract wasn't the optimal shape to bring out the bright frequencies of the ah vowel. I don't give a fuck. Does it sound cool? Hell yeah. Are you hurting your voice? No. Then you're golden in my book. Let's keep going. How about that reverb tail? How about that reverb tail coming off that head voice? The head voice. And see right there, like his pitch accuracy and his intonation was awesome. So it's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, that head voice he has, that's really cool. I don't really want to go too far into it, but yeah, interesting use. Kind of raspy, kind of messy, but so cool and so valuable. There's no other way he could have done it, I think, that would have been as effective.
When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences. with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare, but there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax. And I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget, that we are human beings.
Because that's the fucking point, right? Like, that's the point. That, obviously, he wrote it better than I could. That spoken word section at the end was really cool. I don't remember that at all from my, like, sort of casual half listen in that Discord listening party. But like that, like, you know, he says in the end, we're all humans and we're all human beings. And, like, that really is the point, right? Obviously, I'm not going to extrapolate on everything that he meant from that because, again, I really don't know much about him as an artist. But, you know, it kind of made me think, like, about what I was saying earlier, where, like, you know, why is... Let me take 2 seconds to make sure I say this concisely. Humans and the human experience, that's older than art. So when we approach art as something that has power over us and should dictate the way that we express ourselves, we may be missing the point, I think. And I think that this song is a good testament to that because he breaks a lot of quote unquote rules. It doesn't have a quote unquote marketable song structure. It's not predictable. It doesn't have a hook. In fact, in one part of the song, he says, like, you know, I don't write hooks for the radio. And sure enough, there aren't any radio hooks in there that I was able to hear. And yet it was entirely effective. So, and I think that that's one thing that I hear a lot in music as well. One term I use is a genre band. When you hear a band that, like, for all intents and purposes, they're good, but they're sitting down and they're really trying to be a deathcore band, and every riff is what would deathcore do, or country, or EDM, it doesn't matter, right? But yeah, I really like, you can sit with that for a long time, because in the end, we're all human, and that really is the point, right? Anyways, I can feel myself getting a little bit ranty, and I'll probably go on for 45 minutes, but nobody wants to see that. I know that this video was a little less technique heavy, but I feel like if I went super deep into technique and I analyzed this from a very technical perspective, I feel like I would be missing the point. And really, like, if you really want to achieve this sound, whatever this sound is, there are a couple things that you need to do. One, have a healthy voice, drink water, get sleep. Don't yell in loud spaces. If you're smoking, quit it. If you're drinking too much caffeine, stop. Alcohol, limit it. Just have a healthy instrument. Second, just be confident and genuine. Just be confident and genuine, and learn to love your own voice. And that is a long journey for a lot of people. It was a long journey for me. But you know, I don't think that you would replicate this trying to, you know, overanalyze exactly which frequencies he was bringing out based on his tongue position and what sort of tension may or may not have been in the supraglottal tissues. I don't think that would really, I mean, you might replicate it, right? But would you get the point? Would you be expressing the same message? Would you have the same end result? I don't know. Anyway, kind of getting the vibe that this might be a spicier video, but there it is. High Ren. People wanted to know what I think about it. That's what I think about it. I think it's dope. I think it brings up a lot of really good questions, some of which I've been wanting to talk about in another video. But anyways, If you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. If you want to hang out in our Discord and hear a lot more spicy takes from both me and my business partner, Alex, who has the spiciest of all spicy takes, check us out on Patreon. We do have a vocal contest. Check it out on carterboxacademy.com. You know, I don't know. Hopefully you like the video. If not, that's out of my control. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.